Good evening, everybody, and welcome into the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard. I am Mike Ackelson along with Anthony Hartwig. And wow, week 4 did not disappoint. We got overtime, we got double overtime, we had close games, and we had
Rivalry
some
night.
blowouts.
Rivalry night. We're always gonna have this, but rivalry nights, conference openers, and some surprising scores too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what makes everything go. But you talk about rivalry night. To me, there's none bigger than the Battle of 224 between the Bulldogs and the Cardinals.
We have Matt Romeo, who is on the call for that game, joining us here live on the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard Show. Hey, Mr. Matt Romeo, how you doing today, buddy?
Matt, can you hear us?
Good. Was treated to a good game. How are you guys?
We're good. That was a heck of a game. Typical
I can hear you.
Canfield Poland game. I mean, defense definitely shined in that one.
Yeah, and it was a story of two different games. You had the first and the third quarter. It was a pitcher's duel. It was a defensive showdown. And the second quarter, it was like they two fighters trying to fill each other out, right? In the first half, and then they got going in the second quarter. They turned around. They did the same thing in the second half, and we really saw some fireworks in the fourth quarter. It was a really exciting game.
Take us through this last sequence. Canfield has a 4th and short. Poland gets to stop, and then they come up with a 4th and long. They get the catch, and they're just 1 yard short to give Canfield the ball back and seal the game. What was it like to witness that and to be able to call the sequence like that?
I'm telling you, it was such a and to set it up. Poland's down 17-3. They drive down, they score with about I think just under 2 minutes left. They make a huge stop. They get the ball back, but Canfield turns around and now it's 17-10, 4th and 15, and you see Pano Zipolitis. He comes out of the backfield on a wheel route and just a perfectly thrown ball. Vito Camara floats it to him, but just a great defensive play. I didn't see. Yes. I want to say it was Panunzio that was on the tackle and just wrapped him up and held on for dear life and was able to get him down a yard short of the first down. Super exciting game.
And Panunzio made a play.
Making a defensive play at Canfield. That sounds familiar.
He made a play they played before, right? To break up a really good pass that Poland would have gotten the first down on, right?
Yes. And it was Oliver. He had Kamara had Oliver McCulley for a big gain. It was a perfectly, again, some nice thrown balls by Kamara. And every time he seemed to get McCulley open, there was Panunzio, or even Scherer was another one. Jay Scherer in the defensive backfield that made a lot of plays for the Cardinals.
How big a win is this for Canfield? Because it gets them even 2-2, and boy, they got a tough one looming ahead. I know Cheney, is 1-3, but it's Cheney, and they give Canfield fits.
It was humongous. I mean, you're going into this rivalry game 1-2, and it was kind of a playoff game for Canfield. It was a must-win, and talking to I do Poland Bulldog Weekly show, talking to them guys, they knew Canfield was going to come and give them everything they had because they knew that 1-2 record was deceiving. So just a huge win for Joe Ignazio and his team.
Canfield, new quarterback, Enzo Coco. We've seen him growing up over our eyes. What do you see from here in week 4 that show you that he's keep getting better?
Oh, the athleticism. That's a dual threat quarterback right there, and he could throw the ball. He had some nice throws over the middle, and Canfield's got a nice pair of tight ends. But back to Coca, he started out throwing the ball, but that opened up the run game right up the middle. He would just tuck it and run mostly, and one converted on a huge long touchdown run.
They trusted him a lot of that 4th down too. I know it didn't work out in that particular play, but when I saw them come up in shotgun on 4th and short, and I was saying, well, they must be having a QB draw. They trust Enzo with that play.
Yeah, and I think on the call there on that 4th and inches, I kind of said it right before the snap. I was like, you got to know where this one is going. And
right.
To Poland's credit, I mean, they really came up huge because it was 4th and inches, but just before that, it was a 3rd and 1 or 2, and so. and before that, Enzo was getting about 3 to 4 yards a pop running up the middle like that. So very impressive by the Poland defense. But that's a heck of that's a stud at quarterback right there that can run the ball.
Let's look ahead for Poland real quick. What do they have next week, and how do they bounce back from this tough first loss of the year?
I did not take a look at the schedule. I know they are home next week, but a very we're going to see how resilient they are. I've talked about a lot this year about how in the middle of games they face adversity and they seem to come back and answer the call. They're a very well coached and disciplined football team. So I'm very curious to see a week of practice this week after a loss and see how they come back next week at home.
They got to be ready next week. It's Hubbard.
Oh, Hubbard, yeah, definitely. It doesn't get much easier then.
Yeah, and by the way, South Range is looming 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
I think the key is going to be just don't let one loss turn into two. I mean, if you're going to lose to Hubbard, it better not be because you have a layover over the Canfield loss.
Right.
Well, and the other thing, Matt, when you look at what looms ahead for Poland, this might be the one loss where the coach can really draw their attention back in because they're going to have to click on all cylinders because Hubbard is playing some really good football right now.
Hubbard looks almost unstoppable right now, both sides of the field.
Yeah, they're going to have an answer for Hackwalder, the quarterback.
Boy, is that going to be an exciting matchup because Poland's just got they've had this powerful run game all season long, and they've had the stingy defense, and they got some ball hawkers on that defense too. We had I'm trying to think, it was number 3. I'm trying to think who it was. He had a couple of picks tonight. One called back because of a penalty, but then redeemed, got some redemption and got another pick that actually counted later in the game. So they got some good defensive backs, some hard hitters, and talk about Vito Kamara. He's another one of those hard hitters that comes up, as a quarterback, he comes up and hits pretty hard on defense.
Yeah, Matt, that's a great game. Great call, buddy. You were treated to a great one. We wish you the best of luck next week, and we thank you for calling into the Scoreboard Show.
Thanks, Matt. Have a good one.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
So that was a great game. He got the call.
Yeah, we have another great game to talk about, and it's Christopher Colucci calling us in.
Hey, guys.
McDonald Western Reserve. Did anyone expect anything different, Mike?
No, I don't think anybody expected anything different, but did you think McDonald would go for 2 the whole way, Chris?
Yeah, so we actually had – so it was me and Capabianca up there calling the game, and then we had a Hall of Fame inductee tonight come in with us, Jeff Clegg, and we were talking during one of the timeouts. We're like, they're going to go for 2. And pretty much that whole time we were thinking they're going to go for 2. They got the good momentum rolling, and we can't believe they passed it. We were jaw-dropped that they passed it with Drew Zajac back there wanting that carry. 100% thought that they were going to run that ball in.
When I was thinking about going for 2, I just thought that there was no way McDonald wanted that game to keep going and keep going and keep going because of the way the Western Reserve was able to score, especially late in that game. Do you think the sense of McDonald's side was just like, let's end this game here either way?
Yeah, 100%. I don't think they wanted to give that ball back to Western Reserve because I think in overtime rules, I'm not 100% sure, but I think McDonald would have had the ball this first time in the second.
Yep, it would have flipped.
Second, yeah. And they did not want Reserve to have that ball with the kicker that they have and how their offense was just going on all cylinders. They just played an all-around great game, and Reserve at one point was down 14 points, which I think is a huge comeback victory.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you here. I was watching. I'm like, holy cow, it's 21. They're up 2 scores. And the next thing you know, it's tied. You get to overtime. And you got to give Western Reserve a lot of credit. They did not look ahead to Lowville. They were really focused in on this game.
Yeah, that's
great halftime adjustments.
Yep, I'm actually right now. I'm at Ben's outside. They're open late just for us, all the Western Reserve crazy fans that come out here. And I'm talking to Coach Armini. He's telling me that he just installs in his kids every week that we're playing McDonald this week. Next week we can look forward to Lowville. Every single week it's who they're playing this week. It doesn't matter if they're playing an 0-6 team that hasn't had a great season. They're focusing on this game. They're not looking ahead. They had a fantastic game today. They were firing on all cylinders. It was. I'm still processing what happened because that 2-point conversion, we were holding our breath that they may have ran that ball in.
Yeah, the way Drew Zajac was running, I thought I was with you. I thought they were going to give him the ball and let him run because he ran. It got the touchdown, right?
Yeah, Drew Zajac scored the touchdown, and it was a lot for sure.
They pulled a Pete Carroll.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody expected run. Oh, I'll throw it. And my mouth dropped. I was like, what? I looked at Anthony. I go, what? Why?
We know Coach Williams has been there, done that.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to question him. And if it would have worked, we would have been like, well, he's a genius.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think he tried to catch him at something that maybe he thought they weren't going to be ready for. And it just, Western Reserve, they scouted it great. They played it great. So they made the one play that counted.
Yeah. Going into halftime, they had like a minute and some change on the clock, and they drove down the field. Pater threw probably a 40-yard bomb over the middle of Abrams, get him inside the 5, and they punched in a touchdown. Pater had 2 touchdowns. Darney had a 90-yard touchdown to open up the second half. It was one of probably the funnest games I've ever had to call. Good.
Well, we're glad you had fun. We had fun listening to you back here. We just kept flipping on, and I'm like, this game's I said, it smells like overtime. Mm-hmm. And it was great. So great call, man. We appreciate you calling in. Go have some fun. I think you're getting ready to go join the Rowdies.
Oh, yeah. Thank you guys so much.
All right, man. We appreciate the call in.
So Western Reserve has Lowville next week.
Yeah.
McDonald has Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Those are both really tough games. And McDonald, on the other end of that spectrum, has to come back from a tough loss. And Western Reserve going to be riding high all the way into Lowville.
Absolutely no time to sulk on this loss. It's one. Give Danny Williams credit. He rolled the dice. Mm-hmm. He played to win. It just, the cards didn't fall the way he needed it to. But give Western Reserve credit. You're down by 2 scores and you storm back and you win that game in overtime. The momentum that's got. And then you also got to flip that coin to the other side. Lowville was in an absolute dogfight tonight against Camel Memorial, and a late touchdown is the difference there.
Yeah, and the thing about this one too is it's 2 in a row for McDonald, and this is the one where I think all week the message is going to be finish. You got to finish the game because really they had it won. They had this game under wraps. They had control of it. Western Reserve came back, so. You got to be able to play 4 quarters of football in this conference. We see how good the MVC Scarleteers are going to be this year. So you got to play 4 quarters.
Well, I'm sure Dan Williams will definitely be working on some things. The first 2 weeks, his defense combined 12 points. Mm-hmm. The last 2 weeks, they've given up over 20 points each game. So that there's going to be some emphasis put back on that defense to just get back to the basics because that Jackson Milton team was clicking on all cylinders tonight. They literally, played a very good Mineral Ridge team. And it was back and forth for a while, but when it was time to put the hammer down, Jackson Milton absolutely did. And because it was funny, you and I are watching it, and all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. When did this become a 3-score game? Right. Wait, now it's 4. And it was like when it got away from them, it did. But give Jackson Milton credit.
I think in that game, Jackson Milton took a very young and a team in Mineral Ridge was trying to find their identity. We talked all about it in the preseason. They lost Ian Erb, who was about for 80% of their offense. I'm just throwing that number out. I have no proof. That's not a stat. Don't go to the bank with that. But, you lose Ian Erb, and then all of a sudden you have to try to find an identity on offense, and I think Jackson Milton kind of exposed that tonight.
Well, and here's what gets even better, Anthony. We talk about the meat grinder that Deanna Yate is. When you look at this conference with McDonald, Lowville, Waterloo, Jackson Milton, Western Reserve, Camel's now in it.
Yep.
Like all of a sudden you've got another whole just meat grinder of a conference where you better be ready every week. We've got a little guest joining us in here.
Yeah.
Listen, when Dave Rock calls me specifically out of the blue and he says, "Hey buddy, just wanted to thank you." Thank you, Dave Rock. What a showing tonight. And like we all thought that this was going to be a huge game, Mikey.
Right.
We thought this was going to Lakeview, and they are improving vastly. right? But when
Yes.
you look at what South Range was able to do, the 4th straight week, we've seen the running clock. I don't want to be that guy because I know everybody hates that guy. Who can stop this team?
When they're, I think the only team that can stop them is them at this point.
I mean, I want to say, like, we hear Struthers, which, by the way, we are going to be the exclusive home for Struthers versus South Range next week. Just so you know, just put it out there. But you look at Struthers this week. Without Jason Duke, they're a completely different team.
Yes.
Sorry, Duke. They're a completely different team. So, do we see another one next week? I don't want to give too much bulletin board material, but you have to ask yourself that question as a fan of high school football: can Struthers establish the run? Will South Range respect it, or will it be another 30-point let it wine?
Well, I'll say this, and I'll go away from South Range for just a second.
Sure.
Struthers had everything they wanted from Gerard tonight.
Yes.
Gerard had them on the ropes, tried to deliver the knockout punch, couldn't quite get it done. Somehow, something changed at halftime.
Right.
Because Struthers was a different team in the second half.
Credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and if you're Gerard, you're still a young team figuring out how to finish games. But that was one.
But you cannot be Struthers and go to South Range next week. Because if you play that first half, it's going to be a clock game.
Well,
and I hate to say that,
you're
but
right.
that's how it looms.
But the confidence now that South Range has going past this game in Lakeview, going into the Struthers game, knowing that they just played an absolute dogfight against the Indians. The confidence that is building in South Range right now has to be all-time high.
Oh, absolutely.
All-time high. Because you got, Struthers next week, Poland next week, and then what? Then you're on the road.
Gerard.
Niles.
Louisville. And then you end with Hubbard. There's no off week.
No, but still, like, you look at, if you're on the other side of that coin and you look at it again, I know I've gotten it all week long. Oh, here's South Range guy. Here's South. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong. I'll stand up for South Range and the Raiders all day.
Absolutely.
Because guess what? They are, unless we're talking about Perry in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
What do we have? 200-yard runners against South Range since YSN was created.
Yeah.
Kirtland and Perry?
Kirtland, I don't think had one because they passed on South
Yeah,
Range.
you're right. They hit them
They
with bombs.
passed and they capitalized on mistakes.
Perry and Niles last year when I believe, and I don't want to disrespect Niles here, but I think the JVs were in, and Gardner broke one for 60-some, 70 yards to put him over the 100-yard mark.
Yeah.
And in this game, if you take away that one big play for Lakeview, it's a
There
shame.
was, but it woke South Range up.
Right.
That was the difference. Like
that one big play.
it was. Do you remember the state championship? And this is vivid. I remember the state championship when Ironton answered in one play, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. And then all of a sudden that woke up South Range, and all of a sudden, like, this is not your mom's or your dad's South Range Raiders. They have a chip on their shoulder, bigger than a bag of Doritos, my friend.
And that's something
whooping.
because that South Range was pretty good too.
Pretty
I
good.
mean, so
Just
even
saying.
if you're not your mom and your dad, so I
Yeah.
mean that South Range was pretty good. So it's even better than
Your
that.
papas and your nanas.
I know you get to see him every week, Anthony. Well, I know Anthony sees him every week because we do.
You do.
But DJ, you get to see him every week, and I'm looking at a defense through 4 weeks. The average per week is just over 5 points.
That's with a touchdown today.
Yeah.
I mean,
They got a pair of goose eggs in there. Okay.
and one of them's an 83-yard touchdown tonight, which, by the way, Thomas Easton of Lakeview, I could watch that kid run forever. He is so fast. So fast.
He took that corner and no one was catching him.
I mean, it was like Tyreek Hill fast. Like,
Cheetah.
Wow. Yeah, he was gone. And there's some fast dudes on South Range. I mean, but that kid was just next level.
They just hit the right play on them, and that's all that was.
And I think it looked like a little bit of a blown coverage because when he caught it, there was no one really there, and then he just took the right angle.
Out of the backfield.
Yeah.
You know?
On a swing play. But it's one of those things, though, like, you have to have a balanced offense to beat South Range. And even then, it's a stretch.
And then you start looking at even like teams in the area, just hypothetically, that you think might have a chance that have that balanced offense. West Branch, maybe. Fitch.
I would pay pay-per-view money to see West Branch South Branch. A real battle, like a real game. The referees aren't because West Branch, they beat them pretty good in a scrimmage.
Yeah.
I would like to see that game.
Yeah.
I would like to see Kirtland again.
Yeah, absolutely.
You saw the Kirtland Perry game last week, right? Triple overtime.
Yeah.
Like let's throw down.
I like those games.
Coach Rock's gonna text me and be like, "You're a real
Stop it.
You know what? You're a real, but you know what? He probably enjoys this. Deep down in the subcockles of his heart, he's sitting there going, "Let's go. Let's line it up."
Unless his inner rock's coming out. You shut your pie.
You Rudy.
I'm just sitting here, and if I remember correctly, last year wasn't Struthers undefeated when they played too?
No, it was reversed. Struthers had some tough losses, and they played South. No, you might be.
You're
right.
thinking 2 years ago, right?
No, I'm thinking 2 years ago. Mike's thinking last year.
Okay.
I'm thinking last year. I think Struthers entered that game, and remember, South Range was catching their breath yet because they had lost to Green.
Right.
And all of a sudden, they come back the following week, they won, but then they hit Struthers in the conference play. They went to Struthers, and everybody's like, well, if this is the year it's going to happen, this is it.
Right.
And they went into Struthers and said, I don't think so.
I really think, at the end of the day, I really think that this is going to be a really good matchup.
I think it's going to be a great game.
I've said it all the time. Every time in the conference, we see a team that's everyone thinks it's going to be that team against South Range. That's the game that the Raiders play the absolute best. I mean, we saw it with Gerard that one year, and then we've seen it with Hubbard when they had TC Caffey, and Poland had a couple of teams that everyone thought was going to be.
Do you remember how many yards TC ran for?
40
something.
Yeah.
40. I want to say 43.
I remember the bulletin board that week. Oh, wait till TC Caffey gets a hold of you. And I'm not downing him at all. He was a good back, great back.
D1.
Yeah. But the Raiders knew how to stop him.
Well, I will tell you this, and this is a statistic I like to bring up when people talk about how subpar the Raiders were and how everybody talks down to South Range, which is why that's why I like talking them up.
I like talking them up because they're the ultimate underdog.
TC Caffey ran for more yards against the University of Toledo than he did against South Range in one play.
Yeah.
So I know it's apples to oranges, but it's the same guy. I'm just saying. Yeah. That'd probably be in my locker room somewhere. But like again, I think it's old hat. We get so used to seeing the Raiders, win, and then everybody. It's the same. It's the Patriot problem, as I like to call it, because people are like, oh, here we go. DJ's on the air. We're gonna talk about South Range, but you know what? They're that good.
Give me a reason.
Give us a reason not to talk about. I was about to say that. Like, give us a reason not to.
Can we also? I would like to have a moment of silence for Tristan Toy's number 12 jersey tonight because he ended up in number 33 again. So a moment of silence for the number 12. Moment has passed. Thanks for all your service, number 12. We appreciate you, jersey. 33 is gonna be rocked.
33 is gonna be rocking.
I just want to see. Tristan wants the number 29. I want to see what kind of negotiations happen inside the Raider locker room to get the 29, if that's the case.
You can pay me for my jersey.
OHSAA is going to fly in, swoop down.
You said what?
But also, what a night, guys. What a night. Unbelievable coverage across the network.
Oh.
I mean, some of the best games we've seen in a long time.
That's what I said to Anthony. I said, not only did we get overtime, we had a game go to double overtime. Yeah. We had games go down to the wire. And
poor Salem.
You got poor Salem. How about Camel?
Oh,
Two losses that are brutal in the fourth quarter, LeBray and now Lowville. And they were in that game.
Unbelievable.
And just as you were walking in, I said, if you look at that conference,
it's a gauntlet.
It's a gauntlet now too.
But it has become that. This is what the vision was with the MVAC, because it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Right. People did not see it. It was a basketball conference. People saw it as a basketball hoops conference.
Yeah.
Now it's a football conference.
Well, here's the funny thing. We're in here, and this is all honesty right now coming out of my mouth. We mentioned Jackson Milton. We mentioned McDonald. We mentioned Western Reserve. Lowville. Oh, by the way, Springfield plays in there. Nobody mentioned them. Oh, by the way.
By the way,
Crestview.
for the other
Crestview.
tier, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a strong 18-team conference.
Yeah.
I mean, that is impressive.
By the way, DJ, third straight week we've had a leadoff kickoff return for a touchdown on the audible call.
Hey, offense, defense.
Special teams. This week it was Newton Falls running it back
And
against Southeast, and then the next play Southeast answered with one.
and they switched. I'm running in the door. I had already missed it.
Can we give a shout out to my Bulldogs as well?
Oh,
East
hey,
Palestine.
big win for
All the way
Palestine
back.
tonight.
All
Big
the way
win.
back.
They had to hold off a Lisbon rally too. It was 34-27, and East Palestine had to
They
find
got
a way
late.
for one more touchdown. And Owen Iriaki, man, that kid,
The Ocean.
fourth-year starter, he's just putting that team on his back when they need him the most.
They've got
Both
some
sides of the
young
ball.
guys. They got some young guys, which I think will develop the latter half of the season, right? Once they get that experience, that confidence, you're going to see an East Palestine team that could potentially, we could be talking about playoffs here. I don't want to get ahead of myself, cart before the horse.
They're 3-1. I
That's
mean,
the
you got to
goal.
think they need 3 more wins to do it. You know, you're 6-4.
D7, I believe.
So
Well, right now, and again, not everything's updated completely on Joe Itel, but if it was right where it stood, they would have a home game.
woohoo!
They're sitting 8th, but it's not every team's
Reed
calculated.
Memorial Stadium would be rocking.
And we talked about something earlier. You said about them scoring 30 points.
Right.
This is the third game this season, and all 3 of their wins 45, 32, 42. So the offense is clicking.
But you know what's looming around the corner?
That Valley Christian team
Valley Christian.
loves to play defense.
Jay Sean Lindsay. And they've got Latonia tomorrow, right? And I think they set the tone. I'm not saying – no, listen, everybody knows we've got a great relationship with Andy Hake, right? He's not looking past Latonia, which is trouble for Latonia. But he has ears and eyes and sees social media, and he knows what is being said. I will tell you, Coach Hake has a memory of an elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And by golly, I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be a dog fight.
A dog fight.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm
Without
looking
a
forward to that
doubt.
one.
But
We got some good football guys.
oh,
do.
it's been great.
Orange is
you know.
4-0, guys.
How about them Lions, baby?
4-0, and that was a tough game for them because they had to go into Ashtabula County,
Yep.
all the way up to Conneaut.
Yeah.
And Coach even said that last week. He says, we have to be ready. Well, they were ready.
It was one of those close games for a long time, and then we looked and it was 30-7 all the way.
Yeah.
out of
And
nowhere.
that was the weird thing about some of these games tonight. Like, they're 14-13, 14-7.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we turn and we're like, it's 30-14. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What happened? Last thing I saw, the band was on the field.
Hey, tonight was for America, boys.
Let's
America
go.
first.
Appreciate it.
Especially, that halftime show at Wyndham. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But first, we have to get to Derek Rhodes.
Good
Derek
evening,
Rhodes in the
gentlemen.
house.
Hey,
Good
it's our
evening.
annual weekly talk with Derek Rhodes. We love it.
Absolutely. Welcome back. It's week 4. What a great night.
Whew.
What a
Great
great
night
night. I
in
just wanted to
EOAC,
jump in
right,
there.
Derek?
Absolutely. I just wanted to jump in because I heard DJ, the South Range guy, talking about Palestine. So the Eagles get back on the winning side tonight after a rough one last week.
Yeah, they actually played very well. That was a tough game for a while, Derek. Columbiana hung in there.
Yeah, Columbiana, hats off to them guys. 12 seniors, 1 junior, a lot of young talent for them guys. They played with heart tonight. 28-7, they should really hold their heads up. They stopped United on 2 different drives, turnover on downs. So they played well.
So let's talk about that bounce back. You brought it up. It wasn't an easy week. I'm betting in practice for United. What did you see improvements on the field this week from last week?
They dominated up front. They put Ellison and Wood and had them going downfield all night long. Crestview last week did the same thing to United. They weren't having any of it tonight.
What are you seeing out of United? We're so used to, like, there's always been that guy, but it seems like they're spreading things around on that offense.
Absolutely. So Coach Ogilvy is very good at showing you something new every week. So enter Thomas Wood, the sophomore quarterback, gets a couple snaps tonight. And why not have Parker Newburn, who led the team in receiving last year, be a receiver? So, yeah, another wrinkle for the United offense tonight, and I think we'll be seeing more and more every week.
I do have a question for you. Now, this is off the wall.
Yes.
Every year, DJ Ogilvy, they make a T-shirt, and it's just a bunch of jumbled letters, but it has a meaning behind it. Have you seen it this year?
I have not seen it, but I will do my best to get to the bottom of it for you, Mike.
Yeah, I want to know. I want to know what it means. And Coach used to rib me because I would literally walk in, whether it was at United or at Boardman, I'd be like, "All right, give me a hint." And he goes, "No, you got to guess." So I want to know the letters, and then I'll start guessing with them.
Absolutely.
Mike's giving you homework.
This is not a problem. It'd be my pleasure. As you can see, I got my United Gridiron Club. They have indoctrinated me down there in Hanoverton. I am one of them.
You are one of them now.
That's right.
You in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's okay. That's
yeah.
okay.
I'm a Columbiana County guy. I love Hanoverton. I'm on board. Like I said, in week 2, the train's rolling. Here we go.
Totally agree with you.
Derek, let's talk about the next week and the season going forward in this tough looking EOAC.
Yeah.
What's United got to do to stay consistent, you think?
Well, so Southern is going to try to do what United did tonight, and that is they're a wing T team. They're just going to run it down your throat, try to dominate between the tackles. So it's going to be a slobber knocker, if I could say so myself. Who's going to win the battle at the line of scrimmage is probably going to be the guy who comes out on top.
But don't worry, that guy down in United, he'll throw a few wrinkles at him they're not expecting in Southern.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So last year, just a funny caveat with the way things go in Hanoverton. Last year, Southern's AD actually had them go and measure the grass height before the game. Yeah.
What?
So there's no.
Is there a regulation for grass height?
There is.
Like, does it have to be a
regulation?
Wow,
Yes.
you learn something new every day.
Yes.
I thought as long as it wasn't like out of control.
No, there is a regulation. And I don't, off the top of my head, I can't remember it. I did know it last year, but yeah,
someone's out there with a ruler. Well,
Yeah,
I'm telling you're off by a centimeter.
this could be a thing. I don't know.
Well, they won't have to worry about
Yeah,
it.
it's
Next
turf
week
and-
they're on turf.
That's right.
They're
They
gonna
go
measure
to
the
Southern,
turf.
so
Just to be
absolutely.
petty.
That's
or do
absolutely.
they measure the rubber balls that are underneath the turf? Because they're only allowed to be a certain amount.
Right.
Just to be petty. They're gonna go out there with
what kind of
rulers, be like, this turf is
gamesmanship,
kinda-
right? Right.
At the 25-yard line, there's 2 pieces of turf sticking up a half inch too high.
Yeah, too much.
So one other thing, going with the natural grass thing, and I love this every home game down in Hanoverton, we twirl fire with our band, right?
Oh, it's
Tonight-
ridiculous.
Tonight, they added a tuba that blows fire, gentlemen. Are you kidding me?
go.
Why didn't we get that on the halftime show?
Oh, I did. I had it on there, boys. I had it on there.
We gotta go back and
Derek,
cut
the
that.
next time they're home,
Archived. It is
No, the
archived.
the
Yes.
next time they're home, let's
Yes.
get a tighter shot of that, and we'll make
Okay.
sure we're on it so everybody sees it.
All right.
Roger
And
that.
And
that
then,
will be great.
and then by the end of
Absolutely.
the season, Derek, I want you down there twirling fire too.
Negative, Ghost Rider. Negative. We're gonna leave that to the professional majorettes down there who do a
We'll put you in the
Yeah.
fire suit. You can be the man on fire. It's all good.
Yeah,
I know that. It's
Yeah.
always impressive to watch.
Fantastic. So yeah, good one cooking down in Southern next week. Probably implications for EAOC or EOAC championship.
Derek, we're looking forward to it. Thanks as always for coming on and joining us, and we'll see you again next week.
One more thing, guys, if I may. Thoughts and prayers out to our friends and family at Myers Family Insurance. We lost Dan this week. Cousin Jimmy, we love you, man. We love you.
We love Ann Myers. We love
Well
Myers
said.
Family Insurance, and South Range had a very special moment for her tonight, and I'm sure they're going to continue to have moments for every week that they're at South Range.
Great shout out, Derek. Absolutely
outstanding,
perfect.
guys. Have a great week. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Got it.
All right, that was Derek Rhodes. That's awesome. That was an awesome call.
Absolutely.
We have Mr. Anthony Malone, the other Anthony, the better Anthony.
Let's just go by Hartwick and Malone.
Yeah,
we get on Magic 105 and rival Landon.
The law firm of
H&M.
Hartwick and
You want
Malone.
H&M?
H&M is on your
H&M
side.
on your side, man.
What's up, guys? I was up there in Howland and saw.
You got a new team this week.
I've been dancing around. I've seen almost every county's team when it comes to just broad scopes of things, and I can run a great survey on what I've seen. But I saw what I would call like an old 1980s football game, just heavy amounts of running the ball.
That sounds like Howland.
It was exactly what it was. They just ran the ball constantly. I mean, both teams really did. Whether it be Carrollton or whether it be Howland, and then when they did pass the ball, it was either for touchdowns or big gains. So it was really. The game motored by, but I saw some pretty interesting athletes out that way.
Hey, good. What do you want to do this play?
I'll run it.
Run the ball.
I mean, honestly, at times it was 4th and 5, and I posed the question on the call. It's like maybe they are gonna pass the ball.
Nope,
and
belly right.
Just made me look like a fool. Honestly.
Wrong.
Yeah, and
belly right. The Butchie play.
What was it?
Belly right.
Like if you missed it on the one game show.
That's exactly what it felt like. I mean, I'll say this though. I mean, like both teams are very staunch in running, and it was just a matter of who was going to capitalize or make adjustments to make the change. And for Carrollton, they were able to come away with it, but for Howland, they were just trying to find a way to get back into the game. The play clock, the thing that kind of confused me, and maybe you guys can enlighten me. I've never seen a play clock at 40 seconds in high school, but it was tonight. So I was kind of fascinated by that at the high school level. And I think Carrollton just took advantage of it. And Howland just kind of ran out of time.
Well, yeah, because I thought it was 30.
I thought it was 30, at least 35.
Yeah.
I never knew a maximum beyond that.
But if you set that at 40 and you've been running at 30, 35, you can sit there and you're just literally eating every 4 plays. That's 40 seconds.
That's
more.
exactly what it felt like.
And
straight
to go to the huddle? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it really was more. It felt like tiny timeouts.
Yeah,
and to the point where, I would say that's what did Howland in. It wasn't so they won the turnover game, they almost won the special teams game, and they were doing okay in penalties. So usually, if you meet those 3 categories, you're going to come out the victor. So I'm looking forward to next week for them. They're going to head off and play, of course, a very tough West Branch team, which is not exactly when things get tough, they get harder, I guess. But nevertheless, hoping for the Tigers next week to make some adjustments and make a decent matchup for both our YSN teams. So
when you play that style of offense, you're not built to come back. So if you go down early, you're putting yourself in a really tight spot.
But it's been a rare time since I've seen 2 touchdowns scored in the final minute up until halftime. But we saw it tonight with 2. Both Carrollton going in with 55 seconds, and somehow after 70 yards, they get in the end zone for Howland to get and being a passing play. So go figure.
Well, hey Eric, late in the game, didn't Howland have a really nice drive going, and then
they just ran out of time. It just felt like what was happening was they were moving the ball, and then they got stopped on a run, and things just kind of didn't work out for them. So.
That's a tough one. I mean, because they started with such a big rivalry win over Niles, and then it's been 3 tough weeks in a row. But then again, you've played Poland and Hubbard, and now you play a Carrollton team that's sitting at 500 after 4 weeks.
Right, and I think when you get right down to it, their schedule never ran out of time to get an. I'm not going to say an easy win. It's really tough to do that in Northeastern Ohio in general to just get an easy win. But they didn't. They didn't have any type of situations where they were going to thrive, uncontrolled.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw. So
what do you see out of them? Because I think Howland's a pretty young team.
they're a pretty young team when they get right down to it. But like what I saw a lot from them is what they do well.
Mhm.
And what befaulted them this time was just little minor miscues. But with the young team, they have a solid running back. They lean pretty heavily on Hunzo, but when you get right down to it, they can go to anybody and they don't seem to mind. It just they want to go to their playmakers.
Yeah.
And I really was impressed with them on defense for what they were able to stop and contain, because it seemed like Carrollton was pretty great when it came to that. Like their senior quarterback, obviously having 3 touchdowns, he knows what he's doing, and they just couldn't contain him.
Yeah.
Carrollton's going to be a problem in the EBC.
Yeah.
Because they slow the ball game down, and if they get a little bit of a lead and they're able to eat that clock like they were today, I don't care what kind of offense you're playing on the other side. If you limit possessions, you're going to.
Not only that, if Carrollton's in 3rd and 4th and short, they're going to just pound on you.
Yep,
They're
4 down
gonna use
territory.
every second of that clock and just pound.
Last thing I can think of, and this is just me trying to catch up to the games. I want to kind of hear before I go here. What were your surprises tonight, away from Carrollton, away from any other games? And you may have already kind of brought it up by now.
One of my biggest surprises, we're going to talk about it here because Matt Maher is on the background, but like the fight that Gerard gave Struthers, I think we thought that was going to be a game where Struthers was, at least on paper, the favorites, and Gerard really gave them a heck of a fight, and Struthers won in the end. Mike, what about you? What was your biggest surprise? There are so many scores. I'm trying to write through them all.
Right.
in my
Oh, yeah.
brain.
Well, Camel was in position again to win, but
really?
couldn't close the deal.
Yeah.
They had a chance to tie the game with an extra point. He gets blocked. Lowville gets a touchdown. They had one more possession, just couldn't get it done. The Canfield Poland game lived up to the 224 hype that it always does. It was just a slobber knocker.
How about the Garrettsville Garfield?
Yeah.
They lose pretty bad to Warren JFK. JFK loses to LeBray, but then Garfield comes and beats LeBray this week.
So
Yeah.
who's the
football, right?
your team, right?
Yeah.
So who are you trying to figure out? I think LeBray caught a really good week against JFK, and props to them. But I think Garfield in this league, when they get in the MVAC play, they're a different Garfield team because they're protecting the conference championship and they're protecting, going up and repeating as the MVAC big dog. So I think Garfield, although they did have a pretty tough one against JFK a couple weeks ago, I'm pretty sure they're going to be a different monster when it comes to conference play.
Probably a game that was, if you want to talk 2 different games, was the Pie Valley Rootstown game.
Okay.
Pie Valley is literally up 20-6, 20-7.
Right on.
Rootstown charges back, takes the lead 21-20. Pie Valley scores in the 4th to get the win.
Oh.
So it was a great game.
Oh, wow.
And
I
that's
don't know if you heard, though, we had a double overtime game.
I did hear of such things.
Salem loses 24-21.
Yeah, that was a great
Yeah.
game, but I think the game of the night's Western
They
Reserve
had the
McDonald.
game-winning field goal get blocked in overtime and then lost in double overtime.
You're sitting in the booth trying to watch your own game and try to keep up with a fast-paced game when it's a rush game.
Yeah.
The game only lasted till about 9 o'clock, 9:15 anyways. So you're trying to keep up with all these different games around the area. And those were the ones that just kept popping up. It just felt like they were scoring all the time. So it made it really interesting. And I'm just fascinated to hear that. I think if, for anybody listening in, that's your playlist if you're willing to go back to YSN Live and check out some of the other games, on the site. There are replays available. So I just was kind of interested to set up my playlist based off of your games, guys.
Yeah, I think if you want to veg on your lazy boy couch or whatever tomorrow, you got plenty of action you can go watch easily. And you can see games. And we'll go across the border for a quarter and a half. Hopewell and Beaver. It's an annual rivalry.
Okay.
This is a 14-7 game. I'm like, wow, this is a good game. We're flipping through. We're doing other games. And when I flip back to it, all of a sudden it's 30-7. And I'm going, what? And it's halftime. And I'm like, wow, something went bad real quick. So I'm actually going to go on tomorrow because I want to see, where it broke apart. Right.
Went good for YSN, though, because Beaver rocked it all.
Yes, they did.
Gentlemen, thank you. I'll let you get some of the other calls here, but thanks
Yes,
for your
buddy.
time, and we'll be back
You
next
got
week.
it.
I'm going to be probably in Howland again against
All right.
West Branch.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Perfect.
We had Matt Maher in the background, and he had a doozy.
Hello, Matt. Have you
What's up?
caught your breath yet?
A little bit.
A little
A
bit.
little bit.
had
I
a
let
great
I let
game.
Tommy do all the talking. It's fine.
You
We
did
were
plenty
good,
of
we were good.
talking, Matt. Don't be too
Come on, Matt.
don't be too humble.
Yeah, still let him do the talking. It's fine. I'm not trying to be humble here. I'm just I'm saying he was the blabbermouth this
All right.
time, and I'm good with that.
All
Saves my voice
joking
for the show.
aside, Matt, you had a game where Gerard came out and threw the first punches, and then Struthers was able to eventually get off the mat and come back in this game. What did you see of the flow of the game, how Gerard came out, and then how Struthers was able to bounce back?
I mean, the flow of the game. I mean, Gerard came out like they did against West Branch and scored first off of one play, which was, I mean, I wasn't expecting them to do that again. And it was the same culprits again here when it comes to Dominic Talone passing off to Nick Rafferty for another insanely large touchdown pass. I've got my notes right here, 60 yards for the completed pass. I mean, total like into the end zone, not for the pass itself. I think that was about 20 yards on the 40-yard run, but still, those two together are a deadly duo. They combined for 2 of the touchdowns tonight. I mean, that's just something incredible right there that they have, wide receiver and quarterback duo for Gerard. But man, I mean, that first half, I mean, Gerard scored once in the first quarter, once in the second, kept Struthers off the board. But I mean, I don't think that they were great by any means in that first half. That being Gerard, Struthers was still right there. It was a lot of turnovers, and I'll be honest, and if you ask anybody in Struthers too, they'll tell you, and they'll say things a lot less nicely than I will, that the refs did miss a few calls as well. But, I mean, that's high school football. It's going to happen. So it is what it is, and you roll with the punches, and it obviously didn't hurt Struthers in the end. So, but that first half was a little sloppy on both sides. Gerard came out on top, 14-0. Then you go to the third quarter, and Struthers, it didn't take long for them to finally get something on the board there. They're amazing. I can't remember. I think he's a running back. I'm trying to remember his name right now. Number 4, I've got the roster here. Devin Bram. Yeah, they called him Bam Bam, and for a good reason too. That kid's something else. They couldn't stop him.
Nickname.
That's great.
Stop that kid in the second half. First half, they seemed to just be able to like roll over him, and he couldn't do anything. But then something happened in halftime in the locker room. He was unleashed. He became a completely different beast. It was something to behold. I mean, for a high school kid to do what he did, I mean, he was just rushing through guys. There was a play. They got a first down. He was hopping on one leg, being held down by like 3 different guys, and he still got there 3 yards away. I'm just thinking, what is this guy? So, I mean, that was incredible to watch. He had 3 of the touchdowns, 2 of which came in the third off of a 9-yard run and then a 3-yard run. They missed the point after on the first touchdown. No big deal. They got the point after on the second one, and then they went for 2 in their third one, which came also in the third quarter as well, which tied it at 21 apiece. It was 14 to 14. I'm trying to, I don't know. Right now, it's late. I'm a little fried right now, but no, I mean, the second touchdown came in the second. See, I'm fried. The third touchdown for Gerard came in the
Take
third.
a breath.
I need to get some water or something. I'm just trying to think here really fast. It's all just come back to me right now, so it's going as fast as that game did. No, but Talone and Rafferty again. It was a 39-yard touchdown, another passing play in the third. That gave them the lead, 21-14 at that point. Then it became 21-21, and because they got 2 points off a 2-point conversion after the third touchdown for the Struthers. And then it was all the Cats in the fourth quarter. They just dominated possession. They played it smart. Didn't rush it at all going down. It felt like they did because the game was just going that way. But no, they played it smart, had good possession in that fourth quarter. And Gerard also made some mistakes as well and finally got called on it here. And they got a 1.5-yard touchdown that ended up sealing the game.
Matt, where did you kind of see the momentum change in that third? Was it just getting the first touchdown or getting the defensive stop?
I mean, the touchdown 100% helps. I mean, 100%. Just getting any score after being shut out for 2 quarters is going to help your team immensely. But something happened in the locker room that I wasn't obviously a part of. I think Coach really rallied the troops there, and probably some of the leadership on that Struthers team did as well. I mean, all that happened before they even got on the field. You could tell that was a different team off of the kick. When they got the ball, I mean, they were just on it. And they came together. They played a much better defensive game. Gerard just couldn't get past them. I mean, it was just a good team made an adjustment. I mean, 100% that's what it is to simplify it. But it was really cool to watch and really see just how they adjusted and see.
On the other side, Matt, the old cliche is, if you have a shot at the king, you better not miss. And Gerard's probably sitting there like, man, when that first half they were backpedaling, we had every opportunity to come and take a larger lead than 14-0. Do you think that was the difference in the game, like Gerard not capitalizing on as many opportunities as they had?
I mean, that's part of it. Yeah. I mean, they did have opportunities. There were turnovers like crazy in that first quarter alone. I'm trying to remember. I know I think there may have been 2 fumbles. I know there was a pick. There was an interception at some point. I mean, it was just back and forth, and they were all against Struthers, and Gerard got the ball, and they just couldn't do anything with it. Yeah, there was 100% chances that they had, and they just couldn't capitalize on.
Yep.
And it happens sometimes. It's part of football.
Yep.
It's just one of those nights for Gerard.
Is it possible to think that maybe in that first half, and I know Coach will tell you no, but maybe the kids were thinking about next week? Because, oh, by the way, South Range is looming.
Oh, for Struthers, yeah.
Yeah,
you definitely want to get that one and go into South Range 4-0. I mean, I even tried to bring that up too, which I don't think Tommy was having any of it because he was on cloud 9. But I was just saying, like, yeah, you got this giant coming up here. You got South Range, and he didn't even really seem to acknowledge that because he was so happy for his kids.
Who?
Let me enjoy this, Matt.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to be the realist here. I'm the outside source. I'm the guy looking in.
Let's be honest. That's the Gerard guy.
But anyways, I mean, come on. I'm the guy who's been covering this team for the past 2 seasons.
All right.
Give me a break.
Matt, what a game. What a call between you two. We thank you for coming on and talking to us about the game. Have a great night. You earned a good rest, and we'll see you back here for more football week 5.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep an eye out for those highlights to come later tonight.
You got it, buddy. Matt Marr joining us. We're going to bring on Ty, as always, and maybe he'll help us go through the scoreboard. What do you think?
Oh, I know he will.
Ty, you want to run through the whole scoreboard with us?
I got the bat signal, I guess, to jump on the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard show, and I guess I can't ever pass up that opportunity.
Ty doesn't need a bat signal.
You don't need a bat signal. You are the bat signal.
What's up, guys? It was a pretty interesting week 4, too. It felt like we were week 1 or preseason week with the weather out there, huh?
Yeah,
absolutely.
We earned that, didn't we?
Hey, I got a question. I'm going to call you a nomad because week 1 you were calling baseball. Week 2, you, I believe, did the Southeast game.
Yep.
Week 3, you finally did Fitch.
Yep.
Today you got to see Springfield. What'd you think of the Tigers?
I tell you what, man, I was saying it. Once conference play opens up, it's same old Springfield, right? I mean, that is what we say, the cream of the crop, right? When we talk about MVAC Scarlet play, and they showcase it once again, man. And I mean, this is a Tigers team that the first 3 weeks we didn't really see them have that aerial attack like they had the ground attack, and they were able to have that 2-headed monster roll, but today we really saw them open up the passing attack, and Baird was really looking good, both under center and out of that shotgun too. And his favorite target tonight, Carson Cunningham, got in for a couple of receiving touchdowns. And I mean, it's nice to see when that Tigers get the Tigers start opening up that passing attack, and they become that dynamic offense once again, because once they're dynamic, they're really, really tough to stop in the playoffs.
Ty, Cunningham made a play that we had to rewind. And I'm sure you know what play we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
that touchdown catch where he somehow kept his footing and then ran his way into the end zone. I mean, what would you see?
I mean, this kid was, I mean, it was a coming out game for him tonight. And I think, we look at the way that the Tigers have been able to get their win this season too, and how they've been competing in the first 3 weeks of the year. It's been primarily with the ground attack too. They haven't been able to open up the passing attack. It looked like he was kind of taking that on his shoulders and said, I'm going to be that guy tonight. I'm going to be the guy that opens up the passing game for us. And Baird didn't miss him when he was open, and he definitely came through with them 2 big times too, with 2 touchdowns.
Cunningham was the player last week that scored the go-ahead touchdown against Geneva that would have been the game-winning touchdown had the Eagles not made that last-second big play to win that game by 7. But Cunningham was the kid that thought that he gave Springfield the win until that final play for Geneva.
And you look at this team too, up and down. I mean, they're filled with athletes, man, and they're excited for conference play. They know it's going to be a challenge this year. They know there's a lot of good teams too, and I think this was kind of a warning shot to all those teams thinking maybe Springfield's on a down year.
Step 1 complete for Springfield.
Yeah, and you know what's funny, Ty? I think you joined in after we were talking about this. We had mentioned Jackson Milton. We had mentioned Western Reserve. We'd mentioned McDonald, Lowville, and Camel. And all of a sudden, DJ comes in. We're talking about him again. I says, "Oh, by the way, I forgot one team. They might be called the Tigers."
There's this whole home Springfield team.
Yeah. There's this team
It's theirs
called-
until they lose it. That's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
And I mean, I stay true to that. It's theirs until they lose it, in my opinion.
And they honestly could be 3-1 right now. They gave
Oh.
Geneva everything they could handle.
Right now, Louisville is the reigning champion. So
Yeah.
it's
I know,
technically
and I don't discredit Lowville too, but I mean, Springfield comes in as the favorites, and I feel like they do every year. And I mean, that's no discredit to Lowville. I love what they're doing over there in that program too. But you just look at Springfield's success, not just recently, beyond that. It's theirs until they lose it, for sure.
Coach Guerrero now 2 wins away from being the all-time winningest coach in Springfield football history.
This just in, he's pretty good.
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
go to
really,
the scoreboard, Ty. Someone that I know you're pretty interested in is right off the jump on the top of that scoreboard, Austin Town Fitch.
Our Burnett Pools and Spas.
Burnett Pools scoreboard. Good,
Yeah.
good call, Mike.
I love to see it too, and I thought maybe they would have been able to get some more points against Riverside. Obviously, not being there or seeing this game, but that Falcon defense looks like it's doing its job once again, holding them to 3.
And then we move along. How about Brookfield champion? This was a battle of 2 winless teams tonight. The Warriors go up there and flex their muscles and get a big win to get a little confidence moving.
I think there's a lot of frustration on Brookfield's
Yeah.
side let out.
Rico Smith, man, that kid's a real deal. And you look at Brookfield. We were saying they're the best 0-3 team, their best no-win team. Well, they got their first win, and I think it's not going to be their only win of the season either.
And then a great game down by the railroad tracks
Yep.
tonight. Absolutely fantastic. Lowville gets a late touchdown. That was a 20-19 game.
Yep.
And they get that late score to win. Another heartbreaking loss for Camel.
Campbell had a couple of chances late. They couldn't get the 4th down conversions in the last 2 drives of the game. And it's another game where Campbell's right there. They have to learn how to make those game-winning plays. They're trying to learn how to be a winning program. This is a program that has been struggling for a long time. Now they have the talent. They have the belief. They have the work ethic. They have everything they need. The next step is just making those game-winning plays consistently down the stretch.
Ty, the next game. Yeah, next game we want to show you Canton Central Catholic and Salem. Double overtime. Fantastic game. Salem has a chance to win it in the first OT.
Yep.
And the field goal's blocked. And then Canton Central Catholic they get the field goal in the second
Then
one. That's
they
the
get
difference.
a stop, and then Canton Central Catholic with the walk-off field goal in double overtime.
Then we move along. Howland loses a tough one to Carrollton. And like Anthony Malone said, that game went quick.
Yeah, it was.
They were just running the ball. And the game here, this score is not indicative of the game. West Branch beats Cheney 20-6. This game was scoreless
at
halftime. And I remember,
7-0 for a long time.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Mike
eventually
says,
West Branch wore them down.
Yeah, great game. And then Ty, I'll let you take this next one, United Columbiana.
You look at United, man. I mean, they needed that bounce back win after the loss last week too, and I mean, getting back to conference play and a Columbiana team that we had some people pick them on the Power Hour earlier today. They were liking what they were seeing from Coach Spade's squad, but that United Eagles defense showcased once again they're the real deal inside that conference, and they get it done with that 28-7 win.
And then Ursuline, no problem with Youngstown East tonight,
Jeez.
40-6. The Irish flexing their muscles a little bit.
There was one point in this game where I think it was close, and East had a possession in the red zone where, like, if they would have scored, it would have been tied. And Ursuline had an interception, and I think from that point of the game on, pretty much it was all Ursuline. They took that and they ran with it.
The Irish have been phenomenal. In the last 3 weeks, their defense 10-0-6.
Yeah.
By
that's
the way,
after losing the first game of the year.
Yeah.
By the way.
By the way, their offense 41-27-40. And in the game they lost to Walsh Jesuit, which they could have won, they put up 35.
Yep. That could have been a win.
I'm going to say Coach Reardon got that defense fixed.
I think so. The
And
Bulldogs getting their first win in the EOAC, and they drop another offensive performance, 42-27 over Lisbon. on the
Correct
road.
me if I'm wrong. Has East Palestine won more games this year than they have won in the 3 previous? Now, like the Bulldogs are back, baby. Like 3 wins this season, right? Like
I think they got 2 last year. Am I correct?
they got 2.
I'd have
I
to
know
di-
they
I'd
were
have to
winless
dig.
in a couple seasons. And I know they had 1 win in I think in the last 3. So it's right around there too. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's great to see for East Palestine, no doubt.
I wouldn't be shocked if this was one of the first times in a while they've won their first conference game, though.
Yeah.
It's
They
impressive.
go on the road and win their first.
They're-
Gentlemen,
they're,
this next one, I think I predicted to a T how it would play out.
Okay, pat your back, Ty.
I'm
So-
pretty sure we can get the replay on it for me on this one.
So next week, call 1-800-TIE for all your scores. For just a
You know what?
mild charge of
Mild
$1.99 a minute, I can give you all the scores, what they'll exactly be. No, that was a great game, Ty.
That was
Absolutely
NE8
great
football.
game. And Girard, they were up 14-0, could have easily been maybe 21-28 nothing at the end
They
of
had
the first
opportunities.
half. Had opportunities. Struthers defense kept them in it, and third quarter it just changed. It was tale of 2 different halves.
Yeah, and Gerard still was able to keep it close. They wouldn't let Struthers run away with it. They had their chances towards the end, but you could tell that second half belonged to the Wildcats.
And things have not gone Jefferson's way this year. Another tough one tonight. They fall to Harvey 50-24. And then Edgewood had the unlikely task a task that they did not probably want to have playing Hawken. That's a good football team.
Their quarterback, dad head coach at University of Akron. So
Yeah.
pretty sure that that family knows football.
Yeah, a little bit. Here's one, Ty, you'll like. Garrettsville, Garfield, and LeBray, 28-14. So now I want your impression here. JFK beat Garfield. Garfield has beaten LeBray, but LeBray beat JFK. Which team's better?
You know, I go back to that JFK loss for Garfield too. That's that old Portage Trail rivalry too. That's that old conference rivalry between those 2 squads. Every time those 2 teams meet up, you never know what's going to happen because it's a rivalry game. But I said on the Power Hour today, I think that might be Garrettsville Garfield's only loss this season is to JFK. I think they go 9-1 the rest of the way through. I could be wrong, who knows? But I think it's still their conference to lose, and they showcase it once again. And that's a very, very good LeBray team too. And I expect LeBray to win a lot of ball games this year too. Still,
I think the glimmer of hope for the league is usually, in Garrettsville Garfield's past last 5 years or so, this would be a 45-2 or 45-7 blowout. So you're getting closer. The gap is smaller. So you can have some things
they're
break
young,
your way.
Anthony. So they're only going to get better too. So you got to take your shots on them when you can.
I got to give
that
the
gap
team
is next year.
Yeah. Well, that's why you got to take your shot while you can. This is the window.
And oh, by the way, South Range just keeps rolling along.
Hey,
no one can take a shot at the Raiders, man. I mean, Lakeview tried.
That ship is just, it could be in rough waters and it's still just going smoothly along.
Just want to point out, proud Raider alum, go South Range. Let's go.
I knew he was going to get that in there. How about Crestview, Ty? They are playing some good football.
They are.
I was taking some jabs at Crestview today on Power Hour. I went with Liberty on this one. I got to stop being a Rebel hater, man. They're back. They're back. I haven't been a big believer in Rebel football the last few years, but they're back, man. And they came out with a force. This was a pretty close game for a minute. When I was watching, I was watching you guys, and then it seems like they just ran away with it.
This is one of many games this week that was like close, and then all of a sudden not close.
Yeah. When it snowballed, wheels fell off, whatever you want to say, it was done. And then I'll tell you what was a really good game was this Boardman Maple Heights game.
Boardman's
back and forth for a while, and that is a big, big win for Boardman.
3-1 on the season and still undefeated at home. Boardman, impressive after a 1-9 year last year.
Spartans are doing the right things, man. They know how to make winning plays in the fourth quarter, and it's fun to see.
And how about Louisville? Another big win for them as they beat Marlington tonight, 38-13.
It could very easily be 4-0.
Yeah.
They had 2 games that lost by 1 possession each. This could really be a very good 4-0 team, and they're a very good 2-2 team with the schedule they have that's going to consistently see good team after good team.
And another game that if you did not get to see any of it, folks, log on to YSN. You've got to check out this Western Reserve McDonald game. It goes to overtime. Western Reserve scores first. McDonald rolled the dice and went for the win, but just they didn't get it. They went for a pass when I think everybody in the house thought they were going to run that.
Pull the Pete Carroll.
Great call by Fur and them on this one. I got a chance to watch the end of it. Man, oh man, did it live up to its expectations, man. One of the oldest rivalries. I'd go back and watch the whole game. You want to talk about back and forth? It had all the drama you could ask for.
Yeah, and then Middle Ridge, Jackson, Milton. Whew.
Rams roll.
Is that score backwards?
I think that scores backwards.
I think Jackson Milton was the one that
Jackson Milton won that game. Here, I'm going to correct that because that was no. It says Middle Ridge won.
Maybe we're thinking this wrong.
No, Middle Ridge won. I had it Middle Ridge. Yeah,
okay.
42-14.
Okay,
we're not wrong. I was
Rams
wrong.
do roll.
Okay, Rams roll. I was right.
Say it with your chest.
Rams roll.
Rams roll. Hey, Owen Singledecker, shout out, man.
Yeah.
New quarterback for Middle Ridge, and he finally got some rhythm. And the Rams trying to find offense without Ian Erb, and I say they found it because it's 42 points for the Rams.
And Hubbard continues to wrong. They are perfect on the season. Mm-hmm. If you have not had a chance to check out them, they got a lot of weapons, but their quarterback knows how to distribute, but also knows how to do damage. Hackwalder is a great quarterback, fun to watch.
I love it because Hubbard, historically, ever since they've been a YSN team, it's been a very ball control quarterback with a really good running back. And now they have a quarterback that is just lighting up the world.
Yeah, he can throw it. He can hand it off, but boy, he can run it too. And it makes for such a threat back there. And then here's one you're going to like, Ty. Orange. 4-0 for the first time since 2018.
Yep.
Love to see it, man. And, it just goes to show once you put some time, you put some effort and the right people into a program, things can change too, no matter how bad the situation may seem. Congratulations to the Lions to the start too. I hope they keep it rolling. I'm becoming a big fan of them.
Yeah.
This was another game, close, and then all of a sudden, not close.
Canfield, class of 25. You get to brag the rest of your life. Yep. You won the battle of 224
for the next 365 days. 224 is going to be painted red and black, baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
This has been like the game, the way each game plays out between these two every year. It feels like this low scoring affair, one score game. Like
it looked like Canfield had it in the bag, and then Poland with a great last burst. They stopped Canfield on 4th and inches, got the ball back, just couldn't get that last drive into the end zone.
And it's really weird, Ty. I know you'll know this name when I say it. A Panunzio made a tackle that kept a guy about half a yard shy of a first down.
Family's had some big moments in the last couple of years in Canfield athletics.
Decades.
That's a football name, yeah.
Gianna Panunzio scored the game-winning run in the Canfield State semifinal a couple of years ago on that suicide squeeze for the softball team. So I think the Panunzio name is pretty deep in that absolutely. Canfield athletics program.
Great, they're a great family too. And then here's a game Rootstown has to be kicking themselves.
Oh, they do.
They battled back to take the lead, and then they give up a late touchdown to Pine Valley.
Lakers are tough.
Yeah.
They're big too.
And then Southeast, the team Ty knows a little bit about, they rolled Newton Falls.
Ty, you won't believe this. This game opened up with back-to-back kickoff returns for touchdowns.
Man, oh man. And you know what? I saw Briar Picana again, my man, running back for Southeast, was tearing it up again. That young man, he's a little wrecking ball. He does bounces off tacklers left and right.
And then another game that was great. Lakeside actually took the lead on West Geauga in the second half, and they couldn't quite get it done. So I think I missed.
Yeah, you skipped a row, but that's okay. We'll just go to Wyndham and Tuskegee, which Wyndham won by a lot.
Flex bombers and keep on flexing. I love what Jack Eye's doing, and I love my man Jake Eye, coach over there for the.
We do want to give a shout out to Wyndham though. At halftime, they did something really, really cool. They honored veterans, all the armed forces, all branches. They honored that, and they honored canine dogs.
Yeah, service dogs. They had a fundraiser for service dogs. They were raising money because as always, as everyone knows, it costs a lot of money to train their service dogs. It takes about a year to get them into shape to be a service dog, and that costs them some pretty good moolah, as they would say. So we saw dogs on the field, which is always awesome. You always want to see dogs everywhere. They were all good boys and girls, and what a great halftime show. If every halftime show featured dogs, I would watch every halftime show that ever was.
We'll note that, Ty.
Yeah,
There's
we gotta
dogs,
get
know
dogs up
Anthony's
there.
Yeah,
for
dogs.
Anthony.
if the Super Bowl had a halftime show that was just like the Puppy Bowl, I'd be all
And
for it.
Warren JFK, no problem bouncing back from their first loss. They go on the road and they hand one to Grand
They were
Valley.
mad.
Yeah.
Very mad.
Poor Grand Valley. They're
like, we have to play JFK now?
Why?
Why?
And then another good game, Southern Wellsville. Tight game for a while. Southern, couple late touchdowns.
Big turn point is a pick six for Southern Local that put them up by 2 scores.
So, and then I mentioned Lakeside actually led that game, let that one slip away. Beaver all over Hopewell. That's a rivalry game down there. Boy, Beaver, the Bobcats really clawed their way in that one.
Yeah.
And then this team called Archbishop Hoban. We know a thing or two about them, Ty. They're pretty good.
They're the Knights, but they're kings of East Akron each and every year, and they are once again big win over Akron East and the Dragons.
Another heartbreaking loss for Cardinal Mooney.
I feel so bad for Cardinal Mooney every week, man. I really do.
They kept fighting back in this game. They were down 14-0. They held Garaway to where they were. They got back to it at a point, but just couldn't get over that last hump.
Yeah.
Watch out once they win a game, though, because once they figure out how to win a game, man, I think Mooney could start putting the pieces together. Just wait until they win a game.
And then they'll get things rolling.
Mohawk falls to Elwood City 41-34. Mohawk's been in a close game every week, Mike.
Yeah. And they've
been on the wrong end of a couple and the right end of a couple.
Yeah, and that's been tough for them. And then our last score, Edison over Oakland tonight, 51-6. Edison just keeps rolling along.
Rolling. The Edison Wildcats.
Our man, and Coach Colopy, man, he does good work over there. He knows how to win with programs.
We've had a lot of good conversations on Running Point with Coach Colopy, and he's a friend of the show and a friend of YSN, and we're glad to see him have success.
So now that you saw all the scores, any surprises there, Ty?
I mean, just looking at all the scores too, I mean, I got to say that right off the top of my head, I got to say that McDonald Western Reserve score, I mean, I knew it was going to be close. I didn't think it was going to go down to the wire. I thought Western Reserve was going to be about a score or two better. I didn't think that McDonald was going to have a chance to win it like that. That was a great game. But how about Struthers and Girard too? We were DJ kind of set the forecast, said this was going to be a close game. I said that I expected Struthers to be down a score or two, and they were going to battle back in the second half. But boy, oh boy, Girard, they showcase once again, man. They're not going to go away. And I hate to be the team who plays them next week. I don't know who's next up for Girard, but I'd look out because I think the Indians are going to be coming with the fury.
Yeah. And I think they play in Arrowhead next week too.
Yeah, and that's a tough place to play.
That's not easy to go and win.
Let me look here for you real quick, and we'll figure that out.
But while you're looking that up, though, Mike, I mean, it sets up this big matchup now, South Range and Struthers, right? Like, we feel like we could finally talk about it. The coaches are going to talk about it. The kids are talking about it. This has been one of the best games in the NE8 conference the last 2 years, and I expect much of the same going into next week between these two programs.
Struthers is probably saying, don't talk about it. Let's just have it a whole under the radar game. Because every time we talk about South Range being tested by a team, that's the game that South Range really shows up in.
The problem is we need to hype it up, but if you're Struthers, you can't be hyping this up in your mind because the Raiders aren't looking at this as a hype game. They're looking at this as business as usual.
But the Raiders are going to hear a lot of people say all week that, this game is going to be close, and then they're going to be like, we'll show you.
We'll show you what it's like to get to the halfway point of the season.
Oh, man.
Girard goes to Pie Valley.
Ooh.
And Pie Valley, I've been saying, is the best school in the 440, but it might be a tough week sledding for Pie Valley. Girard does really well notoriously against those Ashtabula schools.
Girard's going to have to deal with the size because Pie Valley, big boys down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Up there, I should say.
Yeah, the farm boys. Yep.
Not down, up.
Up, down, north, south,
You
east,
know.
west. It is what it is.
All right, I think that's going to do it. We ran
Yeah.
through the scoreboard. We talked to a lot of announcers, Mike. Week 4 wrapped up. Going to have a really fun week 5.
Yeah, I can't wait. Hard to believe.
Halfway
we're
point of the
halfway
season
through.
already.
Yeah. This is
That's
crazy that
crazy.
we're halfway there. That means I'm closer to getting to do playoff games with you, Ty.
Does that mean we can roll Bon Jovi? Oh, we're halfway there.
Get the dynamic
Maybe.
duo back
know.
in the booth and let's call some playoff football.
Let's
I'm
do it.
excited for it, man. This season just getting started.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we appreciate you hopping on, man. You know, we don't have to give you a big why up in the air for you to call. You're always welcome to call us.
And don't wait for the signal, man. Just hop on.
Yeah, I got home and I got into a couple of other things.
Hey,
too.
you were
Finally
actually
ate some
home this
stuff.
time.
Yeah, I know. I know.
He's eating
We missed the
Taco
car.
Bell.
Yeah,
well,
I know.
guys,
I got to
Well,
make
I
it home
think-
this time too and settle in for a minute too. But no, guys, I always love talking football with you guys. It was another great week of high school sports. We had some great games on the network. Be sure to check them out, everyone, too. If you haven't, if you've already watched your game, go back and check out some of the other ones. There was plenty, and I was watching them while I was doing mine too. It was a great night, great weather, and I'm looking forward to week 5.
Yeah, and take advantage of it right now, folks, because it's free.
right? Yeah, you
Yeah,
can still
it's
catch
free.
the replay
Yeah.
until probably like sometime tomorrow morning when Brian takes them down to put them up on the on-demand section.
Yeah.
Take advantage
Good
of it.
to
There
learn
was a
now.
lot of good ones tonight.
Oh my gosh, there were some good ones in.
But even
That's
if
what
you
we
don't,
love.
you can still have the games for yourself. Tune in and download on the on-demand section of your favorite team's YSN page. So if you don't catch them tonight, but you still want to go back and say, "Man, I'd love to watch that Struthers game again," or "I'd love to have that."
Yeah. That's how you get it. It takes Anthony's breath away every time.
Yeah, I know, right? Also, want to plug too. Check out the Spartan Invitational. 6,000 cross country runners are going to be on the
There you
network
go.
tomorrow.
Bright and
plug
early,
all
buddy.
sports too, so we're going to have it here for you guys.
10 a.m. it starts.
Plus, we have a football game tomorrow, right?
We have, well, three
Three.
teams are playing, but one team will be on the network: Valley Christian and Latonia.
Okay. So
And we
we
got-
got one.
and-
Football,
we
we
got
got some
Westminster,
volleyball, got
too.
some soccer tomorrow.
Westminster's on the network
Westminster, we
tomorrow?
got some college football. We'll be conjoined. We'll have that on the network. So we got a little bit of everything for you tomorrow.
I
so.
know, some cross country, some football, soccer, volleyball.
All right.
We'll have it all. We'll be back
Perfect
next
for
week
you.
with the audible call, week 5.
I'll try to be here on time.
Go take you out your scoreboard show. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we will once again see you guys next week.
Have a great week.
YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of Your Sports Network. For